We follow the data, and the data indicates that something is out there that can be tracked by radar, infrared sensors, tracked optically, that can travel between Mach 5, 5 times the speed of sound, up to Mach 20. Now, think about that for a moment. Up to Mach 20, this is far beyond commercial aircraft, and yet here we have sightings that can be triangulated and analyzed using these videotapes. We have gone frame by frame over the trajectories of these objects, and we now realize that they can exceed the capabilities of our aircraft. They can drop 70, 80,000 feet within just a matter of a few seconds. They can zigzag, and we physicists now have calculated the g-forces inside these, whatever they are. The g-forces are in the hundreds of times of the force of gravity.
That'd turn any human into pea soup.
In other words, it would crush the bones of any object, any organism that we're familiar with. And so these objects are probably drones of some sort because they can exceed the capabilities of our aircraft and put pressures on the pilots that would crush their bones.
Now, the two intelligence experts from the US Defense Department who gave evidence on the 17th of May to Congress, Ron Moultrie, Scott Bray, two of the top officials in the Pentagon's intelligence section, they suggested very strongly that these were drones, these anomalous objects. To your knowledge, though, is there any known terrestrial human technology that is capable of what these objects have been seen doing?
Well, if these objects can do what the data seems to indicate, then they exceed the capabilities of even our drones. We have hypersonic drones that can go up to Mach 20, but they're unstable. The United States had a very vigorous hypersonic drone program up to 2 years ago, but abandoned it because when these things begin to maneuver, they spiral out of control and then crash. That's why the Russians are pushing this technology, because they want to evade a Star Wars program by having maneuverable rockets. But you see, that's the problem. Once they start to maneuver, then small oscillations build up until they spiral out of control and then crash. So far, no one's been able to create a hypersonic drone that can duplicate the feats that we see on videotape.
Do you see any evidence to justify a conclusion that these might be foreign adversaries?
Well, when you look at the Pentagon's statement on these objects, it lists the various possibilities, weather anomalies and so on and so forth. And at the end, the last option is other. Now, what does that mean, other? Well, we realize that the Chinese have a hypersonic drone program. The Russians have an operational hypersonic drone program that they're using in the Ukraine. The United States is now reinvigorating and refinancing its hypersonic drone program. But these are all experimental, and the track record of these hypersonic drones is not very good. And you realize that these sightings go back decades before anyone even conceived of hypersonic drones.
So what are they?
So we're left with the last option, and that is other. And for the first time, the military is not immediately excluding the possibility of there being extraterrestrial. This is new. In other words, one military official was quoted as saying, quote, "They are not ours." And if they're not ours, then whose are they? If they're not the Chinese, if they're not the Russians, if they're not us, then what's left?
Could it be E.T.?
So we're left with the possibility now, and the military is now owning up to this, that they could be extraterrestrial. And this is new. Before, the military would try to debunk these things, saying that maybe they're stealth bombers, maybe they're Chinese or the Russian technology. But the military is now admitting that, yeah, they're not ours.